interception. We don't know so.
What a remarkable drive, man. That's an All-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, when you have a guy as that electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there. Anything can happen. This game is not over. What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Schmidt here. Got a couple of extra new guests with me. Rob, unfortunately, is not able to join us, but he will more than likely join us for next week's podcast. But of course, as always, I got Bill here. But our new two special guests that we got is our stats guys, as we have Coach Forbes and Coach O'Brien here in the booth here with us as well. How you guys doing?
Oh, doing good, man. Just happy to be here.
I'm doing great.
There you
Happy to be back on the podcast after a long time. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I know I said I wouldn't have this guy on after how his voice sounds, but he's back. So that's a great thing, man. He's knowledgeable about the league, and both of these guys are a big reason why I got them on here. They've done a great job so far with the stats. So really appreciate you guys, efforts to help us, keep up with that, and of course keep the community involved with their players and looking at all that stuff. So I want to give a shout out to you guys here for that as well. Definitely was a big help. But these guys will also be just pretty much going through the flow like we do and answering the questions as they come up. Not going to be too lengthy of a podcast because it's not really too much that we have to cover. Going to pretty much get straight to the point on most of these. We have less games as well. So I don't expect this being a 2-hour-long video. So more than likely we will have open questions towards the end of this to ask. So let's go ahead and start out with the recap games of the conference championship. So the first game of the conference championship games, the first ever conference championship games in the RFL College Series, we had a Big Ten matchup between Iowa and Minnesota. Coming into this game, I think most people felt Iowa was going to be the one that's going to come out and win, but Minnesota finally able to bounce back after their terrible stretch they had, losing a few games there towards the second half of the season. They come out on top, the Big Ten champs, 26-17. So the way we'll go with this, we'll have Bill go, and then I guess you got who wants to go between Forbes and Mitch. Who wants to go?
I'll go.
Okay, then it'll be Mitch, and then we got Forbes to close us off. So, Bill, what's your thoughts on this game?
Well, I thought this was a great game. It was a little bit better and more competitive than I thought it was going to be. And one of those games that, with all the other big name schools, doesn't get as much recognition. Iowa and Minnesota as opposed to Miami and Clemson and USC and all these big schools. But I thought it was a great game. Both teams kept it competitive throughout pretty much the whole way through. I would have liked to see both offenses maybe open it up a little bit more because, both of these guys have the ability to do so. I know Minnesota's been a little bit on the slacking in that area in the past, but not today, man. I just thought that Minnesota's defense, they came back. We haven't seen them in a while the way they saw them today, and they shut down pretty much everything that Iowa wanted to do. KP had to work very hard for everything, and they made life difficult for him in the passing game. Luckily, he still has his legs. But Kershaw, man, I've been calling these guys out for a few weeks, and he sort of shut me up today. He had a big game. I think it was like 80% completions and a nice pair of touchdowns. He was on fire, man. Minnesota takes the game.
Well, everyone might have been doubting the Gophers, but as everyone well knows, I'm a Gophers fan, and we go Gophers. So I was expecting the Gophers to come out victorious, and I was very impressed to see Minnesota's offense. They weren't electric by any means, but they come out victorious. Karsten Kershaw had 80% completion, 271 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I count that to Iowa being a zone-heavy scheme. So Kershaw was able to sit back in the pocket and dissect the open holes in the zones with his wide
one thing I
receiver.
want to say, can you guys hear Mitch? Is he too low? He's kind of coming in low on my headphones. Just want to make sure the community can hear him as well on the
Yeah,
stream.
we probably should have done that when we first got on, just because they haven't been on before.
Yeah, but if I make an adjustment, all your voices go up, and your voice is already high enough. So they would have to make an adjustment on their end somehow.
Gotcha. Mitchie, I know you got the voice in there, man. Pull that volume out.
Trust me, I get yelled at for screaming on my own podcast, so I know I can talk loud.
All right, so let's go then. Get that voice out there.
Yeah, so as I was saying, Kershaw was able to dissect the zone defense of Iowa, as Iowa had minuscule pass rushing ability. Kershaw, even with his 68 speed, managed to get outside the pocket. And on Iowa's side of the ball, Minnesota's defense just played all-around solids, being able to shut down the pass and the run game. Cleo Markman had himself a quiet game, as they honestly didn't use him enough, in my opinion, as much as I don't want to see them run the ball, as I want the Gophers defense to play good. Just 15 carries. Markman's at least a 25 carry down back each game. He was held under 100 yards for one of the first times in the last couple weeks. So if Iowa was able to establish the run game more, I would have felt more confident in Iowa being able to beat Minnesota.
Okay, Forbes.
All right, yeah. So Minnesota just came out and balled. That's what it was. Iowa came into this game the #1 rushing team in the nation, and Minnesota held them 50 yards lower than their average. And that's all thanks to Logan Russell and their defense.
Tough.
And then Carson Kershaw came out here and played his best game of the season with a 130 QBR.
Monster breakdown right there. I guess everybody's going to go through, so it won't be too much to talk about. But, hey, Forbes and the stats guys here, ready to bring that them statistics. I'm ready. I'm waiting for it.
One thing we forgot about, man, is how in depth Mitchie likes to go. We might need to swap those two once in a while so Forbes can get some words out.
Yeah. So another thing is
It's okay. Mitchie's better than me anyway.
And Mitch, a way that you cannot, so that you don't have to get louder. Is there any way that you can move like extremely close to your mic, and you can, probably raise the volume that way instead of having the screen? Because you said you were trying to get louder, but I didn't see a difference in the sound waves. So
well, for some reason my computer refuses to work with audio with my microphone, so I'm using my phone for right now. So that probably doesn't help. But if I could have ever figured out how to get my audio to come out of my computer so I could hear, because I've tried it a couple times with Steven. And
yeah, see, like right there though, you sound a little bit better. Like right there in that
you
last
sound
part,
a little bit
I can
better.
hear you. I can feel when you're backing up. Like when you're moving away from the mic, I can hear the difference. So just stay up close to it, and this should be fine, man.
I literally turned my head, and that's when you guys said it.
Yeah, I know, and it was a big difference, bud.
So looking at my computer, you can hear me better than me looking at my phone. That's interesting.
I guess. It's getting in the yellow a little bit. So
you're getting there, little buddy.
I'm getting there. We're going to keep working with you throughout the cast. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game. The next game was for the Pac-12 Conference Championship, and another game that kind of turned out not the way we expected. USC was a team, 2 straight losses now, 9-2, number 2 team in the nation, lost that after last week's loss, and they lose the Pac-12 Conference Championship game to UCLA, a team that was 6-6 coming into this game. 27-14. That's pretty bad right there. Matthew Holman had himself a huge day, man, and that's the reason why he's featuring right now on this score. What do you think about this game here, Bill?
Yeah, that's exactly what I had down, man. Matthew Holman was literally the offense for UCLA today, and I was really impressed with that.
Bill, before I want to get you out of a habit because you say today
what?
Like the game happened today.
Oh, I know. I do that all the time, man.
Just noticed that.
Yeah, but either like what I was saying though is I think the leading receiver for UCLA had like 40 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It was just crazy. And after the pick 6, when they opened it up, I was like, oh man, here we go. Jace Worth threw a pick 6. This team's about to go down. And then out of nowhere, Mr. Juice Adams with a big fumble return. And ever since then, man, Matthew Holman took over. They just grounded and pounded their way to a victory. I was really impressed with UCLA's offense on the ground anyway. And yeah, they definitely deserve that win.
Yeah, so turnovers were the name of the game, as there was 4 turnovers, and 3 of them came off of Anthony Gonzalez, with him throwing an interception and fumbling the ball twice. One of those fumbles going to the house, as said by Juice Adams, for the long touchdown. Anthony Gonzalez didn't play well, honestly, as he only had a 54% completion. His 253 yards did lead, as UCLA's ground game was primary, as Matthew Holman had his 25 carries for 102 yards and his touchdown. Well, Jakari Torres did actually have himself a solid game, averaging his 4 yards a carry. He just wasn't able to be the headliner of the offense when they needed him to try to keep drives alive. And to talk on Bill's point of UCLA's wide receivers, the best wide receiver only had 38 yards to show how well UCLA's ground game truly was with Holman at a very good game as he struggled in these last couple weeks with getting going. So it's good to see Holman get back in.
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys already said it. UCLA won this game. They win every game. Is with their defense. USC came in here with the second best third down conversion rate at a 55, and UCLA held them to 46%.
Yeah, so you guys doing my boy Forbes dirty with just taking away most of his points. But
I mean, that is what it is, man.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. But that's pretty much what it was. It was a little bit sloppy, but at the end of the day, I feel the same way that Bill felt about how the game went in terms of the turning point being from that fumble return for a touchdown. And that really changed it. But another thing was Anthony Gonzalez. I think that's a point people left out, even though we were talking about turnovers. I mean, just to get back on the point of turnovers, I mean, Anthony Gonzalez, the week before this, I mean, his turnovers led to that loss to put them, as the number 3 team instead of number 2 coming into this bowl game. And now that's where they will remain after this loss because, Alabama, as we'll get to them, they lost too. That could have helped them, move up to the number 2 spot. At the end of the day, they're going to be versing each other. But, ever since then, I mean, that was, I say, the turning point of the game. And Gonzalez, I mean, if he plays anything like he has these past 2 weeks, I don't see how USC is going to be able to stand a chance at all with Alabama. So that's one thing they're really going to have to change up. Big shout out to UCLA, though. Matthew Holman had himself a day. Was absolutely killing it. Shout out to you, my guy. Big win there for the
Smitty, I do got one shout out for this game, though.
Okay, what's your shout out?
And that's Juice Adams. He's the first player all season, since we record all the stats, that now has a stat in every defensive category with that fumble recovery.
And that's amazing. That's why we got Forbes on it. That's why we got the stats guys on here, man. Because, I mean, we can't go through it all, but these guys, they recorded it. That's amazing. We'll have to talk more about him also when we go over these awards. But a lot of other players balled out this year, man. We're not going to go into the full depth of that. We'll talk about that towards the end, though. But moving on to the next conference championship game. What happened here? Oh, wrong. Okay, here we go. Well, it's the ACC championship game, and, man, Clemson was struggling. They were struggling. They lost a few games. Miami was starting to get hot. You saw DJ White starting to move the offense. And for the last couple of weeks, had that upset game against Baylor. In the very next game, was able to put a beat down on Oregon for pretty much about the same score. And here they are in the ACC championship, getting blown out. Clemson playing, I believe, probably their best game I've seen them play all year. These guys have been a dominant team, and I'll let the stats guys talk more about that. But, man, I wasn't expecting this. I don't think the community was expecting this, but the Tigers got it done 41-7.
Yeah, I'm going to need I don't want to have to rub salt in the wound, man, but let me get a bell here. Man, this Miami team I thought was going to have a way better chance in this game. Like you said, Clemson's been struggling. Miami seemed to sort of figure things out to some degree. They were starting to get a little better on offense. The defense was still doing what the defense does, and in this game, it just did not play out that way whatsoever. Clemson Fecky was on point with everything he tried to do, and Miami just couldn't stop it. It was a rough game to watch if you're a Miami fan or on the Miami team, but I'll leave it at that and let the stat guys come in and do their thing.
Okay, I'll let Forbes go first for this game since I keep taking all the thunder with stats.
Well, I am the team stats guy. That's what I do. Miami came into this game 4th in the nation in rushing and 2nd in the nation in rushing defense. However, they flipped it this game. Clemson had 150 rushing yards. Miami usually only allows 90.
Yeesh.
Miami only got 50 rushing yards, and they averaged 150.
I'll pay a bell for that. There we go. First bell from Forbes.
So, man, it all came down to we got the poor man DJ White, and Miami couldn't run at all. So Clemson's defense won this game.
All right. Mitch?
For my half, we get to belt Lito for having Ann Letner be his daddy for the game.
Jesus.
Hey, you didn't have to do him like that, Mitch.
Hold on, guys. When Mitch talks, Try not to, because I'm raising his voice up through the thing, and since you guys are all connected, you guys are probably piercingly loud. So it sucks, but that I got to do that just to raise him up because he's not really appearing up here.
Okay, so I think the chat's laughing at me, so I think they heard me, so that's good. But on the offensive side of the ball, Brendan Fecky played lights out, having his 82% completion, 3 passing touchdowns, 55 yards through the air. And on the ground, Marlon Marshall was the workhorse that inevitably broke Miami's back, as he had 34 carries for 116 yards. And I think this is one of the most active games I've seen Marlon Marshall get the ball. So it's good to see that Clemson put him to work and actually gave him the ball in crunch time to get the job done. And receiving wise, I'd like to give a shout out to Andre Rose, as he had himself one of the best games of the season so far for himself, falling in those 7 catches for 105 yards and the long touchdown. But he did drop 3 passes, so that's never good. And on the Clemson side of the ball, Joey Ledner had himself a field day working on Little Oso, as he bagged him minimum twice for catches, one being a touchdown and one being the thumbnail for this game. And Michael Rochester had himself a great game as well, with 5 catches for 87.
All right, let me go ahead and turn the volume back where it was. Okay, yeah, so, I got to give another bell for the same points that Mitch and the others pointed out here. But, man, RIP to Lito Loso in this game, man, for getting posterized. I mean, look at this. I had to put this picture up for the score, man. I mean, that was dope.
You had to do that.
but, man, that was an incredible catch, incredible game by Joey and Ledner. And, I still got to say Miami's defense. Don't get me wrong. The secondary still played pretty good this season. But they sure enough got worked in this game. They could not stop either one of those receivers, especially Joey and Ledner. They put the best on the best. And obviously, Joey and Ledner, unfortunately, was the best here in this one with that incredible catch right there, man. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about that, man. Lito
Loso, man. Lito Supremo looks like he's trying to figure out how the heck that guy got back there in that game.
He's looking like he's looking at us and saying, "Do y'all see this?"
He's like, "Help me!"
No. I got this.
Turn.
This photo is the prime example of you're wondering how I got here, and then you hear the record scratch.
Yep, that was pretty decent. I give you a decent one for that, Mitch. You got anything for this, Forbes?
I mean, there's not much else to say, dude. Lito just don't know where he is at the moment.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Still a great cornerback, man. Still a great cornerback. But boy, we had to get at you on this one. Another bell for that. But moving on to the next game. This was a huge game for Oklahoma. They win, they got in, and unfortunately didn't get it done. Second time in a row they lost to Baylor in a close game. This one was much more low scoring than the last one. The last one was 45-40. With this one, it was actually a pretty good game with a lot of good offensive plays too, but it just was not a lot of scoring. The defense stood up at the right times, and Baylor was able to get it done 17-14.
Yeah, that's what I got down here, man. Baylor's defense was, I thought, very impressive. They were able to keep the offense of the Sooners at bay, which is not exactly the easiest thing to do because they do have a really electric offense, I think. But they got it done. A lower scoring game, like you said, than I thought it was going to be. I assumed that Oklahoma would put up a lot more points, but Baylor's defense does what it does sometimes. Sometimes they come in and they could be the best defense in the series, and today was one of those days.
Yeah,
Forbes.
Forbes.
Let Forbes go.
All right. Well, my biggest takeaway from this game was that Jake Winkleman happened to play third fiddle on the Baylor's offense. Because Brandon Jones and Ty Gooden both had 90-plus yards, while Winkleman was held to 60. And that's never happened in one of these games with Baylor before.
Yeah, well, there goes a bell for that one. Forbes out here throwing these bells out. Santa Claus, it must be Christmas. Well, go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, so this is going to sound like an interesting take when I say it, but I honestly think Oklahoma's offense actually restrains Daryl Johnson's performance. It's a pro-style offense with the RPO game and all that stuff, but I honestly think Daryl Johnson's a better quarterback than the system allows him to be. So I very look forward to seeing him in the RFL when he is able to pass down the field. Yes, Oklahoma does have deep passes in their playbook, but they just don't seem to scheme them up like that. They have like their unfamous end around on third and short, or they run the ball with Sermon. I feel like Oklahoma's offense should be more focused around Daryl Johnson himself and let him use his arm talent, his release speed and stuff. But that's just a side blur. But congratulations to Baylor on the victory. Tyler Maul just had the better game with the 78% completion, 324 yards. Did have one interception, as that's infamous, and that was to Trey Brown, and the touchdown. And rushing, Oklahoma has one of the best run defenses after Clemson. Clemson's like number 1, Oklahoma's number 2. Forbes, correct me if I'm wrong. But Cody Carter had himself just 18 carries, 33 yards, but he did get into the end. So Oklahoma did a great job shutting down Cody Carter. And as Forbes mentioned, Winkleman was the third fiddle as Ty Gooden hauled in 10 passes. So whoever the slot corner on Oklahoma is needs a bell. I don't know who it is, but that man got worked. Like Ty Gooden with 10 catches, like that's like one fifth of his catches all year. I think he only has like 52. So like he had 42 and he got 10 this game. So he got like 1/5 of his catches in one game, 13. So yeah.
Yeah, I played the bell for you, man. Pretty tragic right there. Defense unable. Well, they still played pretty good holding the Baylor, even themselves, to just 17 points. But yeah, Tyler Maul played good enough here in this game, I'd have to say. And as for Daryl Johnson, I do agree with you a little bit there, Mitch. That I mean, he still works in the offense pretty good. But at times, I even say it sometimes in the games, like keep the ball in number 3's hands. Let Daryl Johnson go and win the game. But due to how the offense is set up, really does not allow him to do that unless it's like late in the game where he has to pull a last minute drive out to win, which was the case here. And he tried to scramble, tried to make something happen, and fumbled. And that was of course the turning point in this game. And another thing about it about the game was that final drive of theirs, he literally took off every single play other than the last 2 Hail Mary throws there towards the end. But that was simply due to the good defense by Baylor. Just shutting everything down. So just a great game by Baylor. Baylor's defense, offense, I still feel like they need some work, but they did enough. Winkleman, once again, another quiet game. He came up with some big plays though on certain third down, so he may not have had the yards, but he still did come up with the big plays that were needed for Baylor when he did make the receptions. And that's a great Big 12 Conference Championship win there for the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, man. Sometimes we get the rock, and sometimes we get the fanny pack.
And what we have here for the last game to recap, the SEC Championship game, Alabama versus Georgia. Everyone anticipated this matchup ever since the blowout, 52-3, way back, I believe, in week 3. And, this game was much closer. For a second, it looked like it was going to be another blowout. This game got as far as up to being 25-7. But Jacob McCall and Alabama ended up marching back. And, in the last drive of the game, Alabama possibly could have won it, man. Had McCall been able to connect on that flag route wide open to Braden Dunn, but just oversold it and just couldn't get things going after that. And Georgia ends up winning it 25-20.
Yeah, this was a really, really good game to watch. And I didn't think it was going to be that way towards, halftime area, because it looked like Georgia was pretty much controlling the tempo most of the way. But then in the fourth quarter, all of a sudden Alabama, they found some kind of spark. And next thing you know, we're on the final drive and they have a chance to win this thing. And like you said, he connects on that pass, man. And we're talking about potentially a huge upset, watching Georgia lose for the first time. This is exactly what a conference championship game is supposed to look like. And I just can't wait to see, what we have left in this college series after seeing this game from these two teams. So hats off to Georgia. They held on. They got the job done. And good luck next time to Alabama.
You can go first this time, Mitchie.
Okay, so Jake McCall actually had the better game through the air, as he had 69% completion, 3 touchdowns, 283 yards.
Are you facing away from it as you're reading or something?
I am. I'm looking at my computer.
Oh, is there any way you can move up as you're doing it, or no?
Yeah, so Jake McCall had 283 yards, 69% completion, 3 touchdowns. But as it says, if he had the better passing game, that means Georgia had the better running game. And it was very apparent as Cameron Perkins had 25 carries for 120 yards and his touchdown. Well, Najee Harris only ran the ball 9 times for 23 yards, which shows that Alabama was playing from behind for a good majority of the game. As you don't run the ball when you're losing. So Kashkai had himself an 86.9 QBR, 194 yards, 65% completion, and the 1 touchdown, which went to Blaylock in a questionable defensive set for Alabama as they just had the terrible personnel on the field. And on Alabama's receiving corps, shout out to Pavel Frederick, who hauled in 8 catches, 108 yards, and had himself the best day of the group. Brock Mellon had himself a quiet game as he faced off against Pastor Surtain. Only 4 catches for 60 yards. Yeah, I know 60 yards isn't that quiet, but quiet for Mellon's sake. He didn't have a touchdown, so that's something.
Yeah, man, this is the perfect example of what Mick's trying to say with players not playing how they should. Because Alabama's defense played good enough to win. McCall played more than good enough to win. But Alabama had a total of 34 rushing yards on the game as a team. Like no one's gonna win a game like that unless you're playing in the Big Ten. You just air raiding it all the time.
Yeah, and just a tough game for Bama. But one thing I know, McCall, definitely wish he had that pass back, but a lot more competitive, and this leads for hope, down the line here because they got 2 more games if they can beat USC. But still, even though USC's been on a tough stretch right now these last 2 weeks, can never underestimate them there. If they get things going, it's going to be a tough game, but we'll get into that. But Alabama came close. A couple teams came close, but Georgia's still that top team in the nation for a reason. Still unbeaten, looking to go 2 more games to end this season as the first ever undefeated champs in the RFL College Series. Just a phenomenal season by these guys. Just getting it done, man. Let's go ahead and
can I just add this real quick, man? Jermaine Taylor, man, is just beast. Oh my gosh, this guy is such a beast, man. And he reminds me of, and obviously I think he's even almost more explosive at his current level of playing in the college series than what he is in the pros right now or has been. But he reminds me of my D tackle Nathan Schmidt, man, because you usually think of a D tackle, you think of like a guy who's just going to be there to stuff the run, but man, this guy is dangerous in pass protect when it comes to rushing the passer. And without him, I don't know where Georgia is honestly this year on their defensive side of the ball. I just got to say that because he's been killing it all year.
Yeah, man. Like Jermaine Taylor after that game has 23.5 sacks. I think the next closest is 12.5.
Yeah, it's just it's insane.
Yeah, so we already know that guy. I mean, it's no secret. First round draft pick. So I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody's definitely going to take him.
Tank for Taylor.
I mean, that might even be an understatement.
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree with the Nathan Schmidt comp because that's my comp for him, Bill.
Yeah, because I mean, there's just not a lot of guys in the RFL that do it like he does. Usually you see that production from the defensive end position, not the defensive tackle position. And Schmidt is one of the few guys that gets it done from that position, and that's really the only way I could come up with to compare him to.
And that's one of the weaker positions in the RFL in terms of position. So I mean, he definitely got himself an opportunity depending on who drafted him.
He is on 32 boards, man. He's on 32 boards.
I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah, he definitely.
Taylor can't stop the run though. That's his biggest fault.
You said what?
He can't stop the run. Well, I mean, he can, but that's his area of struggle.
Oh yeah.
He's only got 4 TFLs compared to the other 3 defensive tackles.
Yeah, you can give me 24 sacks. I don't give a dang what you do in the run game, man. I got 2 D tackles.
I mean, he just needs to play a free technique. Get that one-on-one every so often.
Exactly.
Yeah, so good takes right there. Let's go ahead and get our takes on this top 25 ranking. Of course, most of everything stayed the same, but some things did shift because of the teams playing in conference championship games. Some teams had to fall off the board because I realized even on the last top 25, I had Florida State missing, and they shouldn't have been off the board there. But this is the top 25 rankings. So we have Georgia, of course, number 1, Alabama 2, USC 3, and this is where we made the decision as a collective group. Clemson will be the 4th team going into the playoffs to face off against Georgia. And before we go into even more depth, well, actually, I'll read this off, and then we'll explain our reasonings on why we went with Clemson. I'm not going to single out who voted for who and why it ended up that way. We're just going to explain the reason why that happened. But at number 5 is going to be Auburn. At 6, Baylor. Oklahoma 7. UCLA 8. Miami 9. Minnesota 10. LSU 11. Florida State 12. Iowa 13. West Virginia 14. Florida 15. Oregon 16. Oklahoma State 17. Penn State 18. Wisconsin 19. Michigan 20. Texas 21, Washington 22, Nebraska 23, Ohio State 24, and Michigan State holding on at 25. So that is the top 25 rankings.
Yo,
and what's going on?
This chat is not happy right now.
Yeah,
I can see that very much so.
Yeah, I can see. I kind of knew this was going to be the result of that, but I'm not going to say who voted for who and everything. I mean, they're not trying to single out anybody or put anything on blast, but this is pretty much what it came down to is, so it was tied up. So we had 5 people in this meeting. It was split half and half. And, the last person had to decide, who you're going to go with. You're going to go with Auburn or you're going to go with Clemson. And at the end of the day, what it came down to is, Clemson winning it. And the main guys.
You guys have to realize it was a long debate.
Yeah, definitely was a long debate. And the reason why it came down to, Clemson is, I guess, Forbes, you wanted to explain the main.
I mean, I don't mind saying who I voted for and why if you want me to.
Well, I guess I get, because I really don't care either. So, I get, so we can say what we voted for. So, first, I started off, I was in favor of Auburn going. And the main reason I was in favor of Auburn going was because they beat Clemson. They were in a tougher conference. And I felt like, for those reasons, even though they had the conference championship game, had they been able to be in any other conference, they probably would have been able to make it. That's why I went with Auburn. I figured Auburn would be the better team for that reason, even though Clemson, statistically was the better team. He's not on this podcast right now, but Armstrong was the second person out of the 5 that agreed to go with Auburn. And so it came down to Forbes and Mitch both voting for Clemson, and you guys can explain why you guys voted that.
All right, so I mean, I went with Clemson because offensively, they're the number 1 offense in the nation in terms of yards. They're 10th in the nation in defense, where Auburn was 16th, and Auburn's 17th on offense. Point differential, Clemson is the top 5. Points scored, Clemson's in the top 5. Auburn's 24th in points scored. The only category where Auburn leads Baylor is points allowed, and that's because Auburn's 2 and Clemson is 5. And their strength of schedule isn't even close. So even though they're in a tougher conference, Clemson had a harder schedule. So Auburn's strength of schedule was .448, where Clemson's was .553.
Mitch.
Yeah, so I had similar reasons to why I voted for Clemson. Inevitably, the thing that really got me was Clemson's offense being one and being the point difference of +30.
I can't really hear you, Mitch.
Okay, I voted for Clemson because Clemson inevitably had the best offense in the country. Their point differential over Auburn was a +30. And as Forbes just alluded to, the strength of schedule inevitably was the final thing that broke the camel's back. Because if you have over, what was it, Forbes? It was 4, and then it was the other one was 5.
Yeah, so
if you're
Auburn's was .44, Clemson's was .55.
Yeah, so that's a very big swing. I watched Forbes do the first time when he did the point differential, and most teams were similar. But when it's that big of a spread, it really shows who had the more difficult schedule. Yes, Auburn plays in the SEC, but Auburn also must have not faced against one of the better teams for that big of a swing, or Clemson just had a. Actually, no, I know exactly why this happened. It's because Clemson only has the other 3 ACC teams, meaning they had more out-of-conference games, and their out-of-conference games were scheduled for against better and more difficult teams. Well, Auburn had to play the SEC, and obviously some SEC teams were not as strong.
Yeah, 3 of Clemson's out-of-conference games were Georgia, Baylor, and Oklahoma.
Yeah, so I'm not going to name names about some of these bad teams in the SEC. They know who they are, and I'm not going to say it because those players deserve their rights to not be called out on a podcast. So, yeah. Bill?
Yeah, and what I want to add is, and I don't care either because I know y'all love to hate me already, man. I was the deciding factor, all right? I was the fifth, and it was down to me, and I was torn. Auburn or Clemson? Auburn won head-to-head. I get it. Yada, yada, yada. They beat Clemson. But after listening to the stats and after seeing what I was shown, there is no way that I could put Auburn over Clemson. Clemson beats them in almost every statistical category. And honestly, head-to-head is – so there's a lot of people in here that I'm seeing making comments about the conference game and head-to-head. And I don't know if you guys truly understand this because I was curious myself and I went and looked it up. When they are choosing for these positions in real life, even though we're not doing real life, conference championships does not guarantee you anything. Please understand it. I looked it up 3 times because I didn't know if it was true or not. It does not guarantee you anything.
I heard somebody actually say that on ESPN before too, like literally this year.
It is heavily weighted, but it is also heavily weighted with other areas of the game. And at those points, Clemson won way too many of those other weighted prospects that I could not make the decision to put Auburn above them. So I'm sorry, hate me all you want, yada, 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 go cry about it. Clemson's going to the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's how it all went down. And I honestly, I was torn between the two. I wouldn't have cared either which way. I just, I was more so on the head-to-head side. They beat them, and when they did bring up these extra parts though about Clemson, I was also like kind of second guessing too. I was like, man, it definitely seems like Clemson is actually the better team. But what made me stick with Auburn was they beat them. So that's what made me stick with that decision. But all in all, you guys see it was a fair process to go through this. And honestly, it probably wouldn't have been good to just throw Auburn in that like that without having something like this go down after not even playing an extra game or going to a conference championship. And then, of course, to the point that they were saying, Clemson actually ending up having a harder schedule, even despite Auburn being in the SEC. So that is big in itself. And to be honest, and I know the Auburn guys aren't going to agree with this, but I do feel like Clemson is the better team between the two that will be able to put up more of a fight in the playoffs. And that's just my thoughts on it and how that all went down.
That's what I was going to say. Is like, does the chat honestly think Auburn is a better squad than the Clemson squad that we've watched? Like, yes, like Auburn has had a great season. They finished 8-4. They beat Clemson head-to-head, but that was also week 2 on arcade. So you have to also remember that was 2 months ago on a different game mode. So we haven't seen them face off against each other head-to-head since that. And
it was close too. It was 24 to 22.
It was close. It was literally by a missed 2 points by Auburn stopping Clemson. It literally could have went to overtime, and Clemson could have won that game. But I have to point out, not that submitted prospects matter, but Auburn only has 4 compared to Clemson's at least 7. And you have to realize that, Christian Williams, JP, Ashton Collins, Javon Warren, yes, they're all great players. But when it comes to facing against Georgia, I honestly feel Clemson and Fecky have a better opportunity to defeat Georgia in the thing, and it will make a better game inevitably.
Okay. So, yeah, that's how that all shook out. And I guess congratulations to Clemson for making it into the playoffs for the second consecutive year. And they'll have a chance to go up against the number 1 team, a rematch right there from the first game of the week. So I think the playoffs, either way, the way it's set up is going to be great. Let's go ahead and get a look at the bowl games. I know you guys have been waiting for this, so let's go ahead and get into that. So these are the bowl games for the week. I understand everything is small. We were actually, CB's was working on graphics. I thought he was going to have each one of those made beforehand, but that is, of course, a lot of graphics to get done from Monday to now when we came up with these, yesterday? Came up with these bowl games yesterday. But Yeah, so we had a short amount of time, so this is the graphic I only had enough time to get done, literally 10 minutes just about before this podcast. But our first bowl game will be December 10th, which is, of course, tomorrow, and it will be the Cheez-It Bowl between number 16, Oklahoma State, and number 12, Florida State. The second game following that will be the Liberty Bowl, number 21, Texas, taking on Michigan, number 20. And the following day on the 11th, we got Minnesota versus UCLA in the Rose Bowl. I'm not going to say the rankings anymore. I'll just go through this. Then after that, at 8 p.m. Eastern, Alamo Bowl will be a rematch between Washington and West Virginia. In the Citrus Bowl, we will have Florida taking on Iowa. Red Box Bowl, we got Wisconsin versus Oregon. Orange Bowl rematch from the first game of the season. LSU versus Miami, except this time, Miami being the head guys, but it still will be a bowl game, so no home field advantage. Cotton Bowl will be Oklahoma versus Penn State. Great game right there. Baylor versus Auburn will be the Sugar Bowl. And, of course, the playoff games. You got the Peach Bowl with Clemson taking on Georgia, and the Fiesta Bowl to close us off with USC taking on Alabama. So let's go back up to the top of this and get everyone's predictions. So OSU versus Florida State. Who you guys taking?
Go ahead.
Oklahoma State in this one.
Oklahoma State? Okay.
Yup. Take Oklahoma State.
I guess we'll have an order. So let's go Forbes since he answered first, then Bill, then Mitch.
Oh man, I'm still torn. You know what? I'm gonna go Florida State, man. I think Nathan Tucker will get it done.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go Florida State in the Cheez-It Bowl as well.
Okay.
Don't you guys think we should have USC though in this one because of Big Cheese, and Cheez-It Bowl? That would have been so much better.
They're playing in the playoffs, buddy. So I doubt he would even want to play in the Cheez-It Bowl.
I'm just making a reference to the name here, all right? Just let me rock out with it.
All right, I'll let you rock out with it after you get this bill. But we got Oklahoma State. I'm actually going to go with OSU here in this one. Not no in particular reason. I just feel like they might pull this out. They might be the slightly better team in my opinion. Okay, Texas versus Michigan in the Liberty Bowl.
I'm going with the lower seeded team. I'm going with Texas. I just think they're a better team than Michigan.
Okay.
I'm going Michigan, man. I want to see Hodge get in the end zone again. I think Michigan gets it done. 2 touchdowns. No, 3 touchdowns.
You're trying to triple his productivity in one game.
Yes.
That all depends on Corey Polly.
Come on, Corey. I see you in the chat.
Throw that turn up like you did the last game to get here, man.
Yeah. Just throw it to him every play.
This one's gonna be a tough one, but I'll go with the Wolverines. I'll go against Hook 'em Horns.
Man, as much as I want to see Darius score a touchdown, man, he might still score a touchdown, but I feel like the Texas Longhorns are going to be the ones that's going to win this one. So I'm gonna go with the Longhorns. The Rose Bowl.
I think the Wolverines rush game will be the reason they win.
Okay. Rose Bowl, Minnesota and UCLA. Who you guys got?
I'm taking UCLA in this one. Carson Kershaw, Minnesota had a great, conference championship, whatnot. But UCLA is just one of those elite defenses, and I don't know if Minnesota's offense can repeat that performance.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength there. Between the defense of UCLA and then the ground game with Holman, I think that UCLA's got it in the bag. I think Minnesota's performance last week was more so just a good game plan and just having one of those good games as opposed to it being the norm for them, because we know the last 6 weeks they have not been a very solid team, and I think that's more true to what they are than what they were last week. So UCLA.
And
I see some people. Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna say it afterwards. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, obviously, as it's well known, Gophers fan, and I'm gonna watch Logan Russell ride off into the sunset to the draft with a rose in his mouth, and I'm gonna take the Gophers, and because
blasphemy.
Inevitably, I don't think Jay Schwartz is that good of a quarterback. I think Kirk Peterson's a better quarterback than him, and watching Kirk Peterson have struggles against the Minnesota defense last week, I just got to ride with Minnesota. They also have a great defense, just like UCLA. So if this is a low-scoring game, it probably is not because of the offense being bad, but the defense being good.
All right, and what I was going to say was I see people in the chat talking about is there real bowl tie-in. So for the most part, I believe, if you guys remember, wasn't it the first 2 games that didn't have realistic bowl tie-ins because we just couldn't split them up?
The only one that wasn't realistic was the Liberty Bowl, and that was because Michigan, we didn't have enough SEC teams, so Michigan replaced the SEC team in that matchup. But everything else is realistic.
Yeah, so all the rest of the bowls except for Liberty Bowl, like Mitch said, are real bowls that can happen based off of the tie-ins and everything. So my pick for the UCLA and Minnesota game, I'm going to go with UCLA, man. I think UCLA is going to be able to get that done. Even though Jace Worth, has been really inconsistent quarterback this year for the Bruins, I think that Matthew Holman, even though he had one of his biggest games the last time out onto the field, I think he's going to be able to have himself another big game and be able to move enough to help UCLA beat that defense. So I got UCLA in that one. Next game, Alamo Bowl. Rematch, Washington versus West Virginia. Who you got, Forbes?
I'm going with West Virginia. I'm going based off of Leo Moon. Okay. I think he's the best player in this game, and he should win the game for the Mountaineers.
I gotta agree there, man. Leo all the way. I'm going West Virginia.
And I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna ride with the Roman, and that's gonna be Romanelli, because I don't want him to be sad again, as he finished his last regular season game with a pick as his last throw, and I know he was very upset about that. So I think Romanelli, LeCavalier, and Jeremy will inevitably upset West Virginia in the Alamo Bowl and finish the season 6-7.
Yo, when are we picking teams based off of their emotional feelings?
I don't know if that's a real analysis or a real breakdown or what.
Be sad.
but one thing I will say is, well, I don't like moon pies, but I like the moon pies here in this game. I think that Leo Moon is going to be able to throw a couple of those things out and be able to move against this Washington defense. And even though they had themselves a huge game against Washington State and still lost that game, Washington State was not a solid team this year. One of the worst teams, finished the season 4-8. And even though they look good the last game, let's look at the games before that. Both of those games before that, they were only able to put up 10 points after having themselves a little bit of a strong spurt, taking down Miami in that blowout. I think it was like 38-17 or something like that. But they never really bounced back to that. And they put up points, like I said, last game, but I don't see that happening against West Virginia. And their defense is actually pretty solid too. So I got West Virginia in that one. Okay, next game. I was at first not in favor of this, but just looking at this matchup, I do think this is going to be a great game. And we got in the Citrus Bowl, Florida and Iowa. Who you got, Forbes?
I'm taking Iowa. They're by far the best rushing team in the nation. They average almost 200 yards a game on the ground. And I'm not sure Florida's got good linebackers on their defense and good secondary, but I'm not sure their D-line can hold up with Markman.
Yeah, man, I got Iowa all the way. KP and Markman, I think, are going to do damage on the ground, and I just think they're an overall better team. They just, like I said when we were talking about this, they just don't get enough clout because they're Iowa. They're not, a flashy school, but I think Iowa takes this one.
And I'm going to go with Iowa as well. As Forbes alluded to, they have the best rushing offense in the entire nation, and ever since Rob had talked about Trevor Campbell only throwing 4 interceptions in that first game, Trevor Campbell has thrown at least 2 picks in every game since, finishing the season tied with 16 with Leo Moon. So he went from 4 and threw 12 in the remaining of the season. So
he threw 12 interceptions in the last 6 games.
Yeah, 12 interceptions in the last 6 games.
You said that same thing way faster.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay, you still going?
Of course he's still going. It's Mitch.
You got more to say though, Mitch?
I was just going to say that I think Iowa's defense is going to probably pick off Trevor Campbell with the way he's been playing.
Yeah. So, man, as crazy as that sounds, that's a good statistic, man. I really didn't pay too much attention to, but I honestly feel like Florida's going to win.
Go Florida.
Go
the lone wolf.
Man. Go the lone wolf with the Gators.
You gonna give us the howl too?
Nah.
Oh, come on,
Why would I
man.
give a howl and this is a gator I'm rocking with?
Because it's the lone wolf. You don't get that reference?
I get it, but
Dude, that's not right, man. Give yourself a bell right there.
He
Give yourself
he
a
just
bell.
don't care.
yeah, I just Forbes gets it. But let's go ahead and move on to
You guys hear the imaginary bell that I just played for Smitty right now?
Where's that? You got a bell on you?
No, I don't. It's imaginary because I know you won't give yourself a bell. So I saw everybody just imagine the bell.
Well, let me give you a real bell for talking about imaginary bells in this podcast.
Yeah, you see. That's why you can't be having the only bell. That's not fair or right. That's some BS right there.
All right, so we got for the next bowl, we got the Red Box Bowl with number 19 Wisconsin versus Oregon. And I know that I still can't believe he's actually still gonna go with these guys, but he's actually got Bill's already. I know he's voting for Wisconsin. You got a reason? You want to talk more on that, or
No,
that's just it?
Yeah, I mean it's apparent.
I mean, I feel like if you don't got no reason, you're really just voting for him because, pretty much like Mitch just said, man, off emotion. That's your guys. Yeah, no real reason.
They're just the better
no real
team,
reason
man.
to pick the Badgers in this matchup.
They're just the better team,
No,
I mean, if they were the better team, wouldn't they be right there?
You know what, man? Whatever, man. Don't even.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah. So Mitch, I said Mitch. Bill going with the Badgers. Who you going with, Forbes?
Honestly, I'm going with Oregon, man. Owen Jack, highest QBR of the nation, a 32-4 touchdown to interception ratio.
Incredible.
Like,
yeah, that's all it looks like.
he threw 32 touchdowns, but didn't throw for 3,000 yards. So I'm going with Oregon for OJ.
All right, Mitch, who you got?
And I'm gonna ride with Oregon for OJ stat line and Steph Harris, the number 3 wide receiver, which is incredible to me that the number 3 led their team in receiving yards. So that just shows how productive Steph can be out the slot.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna go with Oregon too. So I guess you're the lone wolf for the Badgers over there. I see that.
I need some more emotion than that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be emotional about Wisconsin, I need a more emotional howl.
Matter of fact,
Dude, that's the best howl I got. All right, I'm not like a perfectionist of howling over here. Right, I just watch enough talk shows to know that when you're the only guy to pick a team, you're supposed to do the lone wolf. Y'all never watch NFL Network?
But how are you going to be the one to suggest this, and then when you go to howl, you sound like a puppy?
Hold on, no. Did I howl or not howl? That's what I want to know.
I don't know what you did.
I thought it was like a pip squeak or something,
The
man.
answer is yes. I howled.
I don't think that was a howl, dude. I don't know what that
But
was.
what's your definition of a howl?
That.
Oh man, I think you might need to turn on like howl.com. And
I think he was talking about a howl.
I got National Geographic. I'm good. I know what the howling is.
I don't think you do, man, because that was not a
Dude,
howl.
At least I tried. Okay, you didn't.
I didn't because I wasn't for it.
Because he didn't want to sound like that.
Yeah.
No, because
I think I would have did a better job than that, to be honest.
Dude,
so,
you're just being a hater at this point. That's all it is.
That was pretty bad. But let's move on.
No.
Let's move on to this Orange Bowl game. Okay, I think this is one of the better bowl games just to see this rematch again with LSU versus Miami. Who you guys got?
See, this is hard because I don't know what Miami team we're gonna get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if I'm going with I'm gonna have to go with the more consistent team and pick LSU. Because I mean, I don't know what DJ White I'm gonna get. I don't know what kind of blocking Amir Williams is gonna get, and I don't know how the secondary is gonna play for Miami. They're just too inconsistent for me to confidently pick in a bowl game.
And even though all of those make complete sense, I'm gonna go with Miami. I think last week was a fluke for them, all right, because they have not played that poorly in quite some time this season at all. It was just, I don't know what it was, man, but I don't think that was the best we're gonna see in Miami this time. I think they got this one.
Yeah, so before they lost to Clemson last week, I would imagine Miami was actually on a 5-game winning streak as their last loss that came against Washington. So I'll be taking Miami as I think Amir Williams will be able to carry the offense just enough for DJ White to feel comfortable enough to pass in the short to intermediate range. So yeah, I'll be going with.
All right, well, it always seems like any game that I try to bet up against Miami, it goes the opposite way. When I vote for them, they lose. When I don't, they end up winning. And so I'm actually going to go against them because I feel like they might win. but I don't think that if I vote for him that would happen. So I'm going to go with LSU, and I'm going to just leave it like that. But I think Miami's going to win. That's what I'm going to say.
What kind of explanation was
That's
that?
a great explanation. That is fire.
No.
That was
It sounded like the way he tried to make the Peter Faniota sound good.
Yeah.
Hey, matter of fact, I still got the photos for these. You guys want me to flex right now?
Please don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, I'll leave that off this podcast.
This guy's like, you shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
But yeah, I'm if I had to go off of who I think going to win, I'm gonna just say Miami. But I was pretty much saying like I don't think they're gonna win because I voted for them. So that's why I picked LSU. So I guess if we have to be realistic here and come off of what we think's going to win, I say Miami then. All right, Oklahoma versus Penn State.
Like I really do like James Ramos and all, but Oklahoma's just the better team. Like I can't pick against Daryl Johnson in Oklahoma even after the loss against Baylor.
Yeah, I got to go with the Sooners, man. I don't anytime we see not a great Daryl Johnson, he always follows it up with a good win or a good game. So I think that he'll come out ready to play and a lot better than last week. And obviously I think they win this game.
Yeah, so I'm also going to roll with the Rock and pick Oklahoma over Penn State.
Yeah, same. I guess that ain't no lone wolves in this one. Everybody going OU. We'll see if Penn State can actually pull the upset off, though, there in that bowl game. This is another big game here in the bowls, man. Baylor versus Auburn. These guys never faced off against each other. They were both weren't really in the conversation, but they were right there teetering on the outside looking in. Who you guys got?
Sorry, Ramos.
Yeah,
He just goes ouch in the chat.
Listen, I mean, Ramos we all like you as a quarterback, but your team as a whole just isn't as good as Oklahoma's.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
That's what it is.
You never know. I mean, there's a possibility if, honestly, if Oklahoma comes out there running too many end-around plays, which I feel at times has really plagued them and kept games close when they shouldn't be, you never know. If you come out big, you guys could very well get that win. But I just feel like even if they do that, they still are the slightly better team and should be able to win that game. So that's at least my reasoning on why I'm going with the Sooners there. What you guys got here in this Auburn and Baylor game?
Obviously, as my non-biased pick, I have to go Baylor because I play for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Auburn here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
And
reasoning,
I'm gonna
guys.
go
That's two
Baylor.
guys with no reasoning.
Well, I mean, I just think that we know that Auburn was really close to getting into the playoffs, right? And everybody hates me because I'm the one who didn't let them go to the playoffs, yada yada yada. But there was a reason that they were up for that decision. There was a reason that it had to be a decision like this, and it wasn't just a for sure thing that Clemson was going because they were a good team. So I think that Baylor, while they are a very good team, they have also been inconsistent at times throughout this season as well. So I just feel like Auburn's going to get it done.
I mean, I could also throw out the stat that Baylor has the highest scoring team in the nation, and Auburn has the second best scoring defense in the nation.
Yeah, with that, I mean, Mitch, you didn't pick your pick.
Yeah,
What
so
you going with?
I'm going to go with Baylor, and I'm going to lean on their defense, as I think the defense will be able to shut down Javon Warren rushing, as they showed off last week against Daryl Johnson, and passing, as I think Baylor has the best safety duo in the country. The corners, that's a different story for a later time. But the linebackers are great, and the safeties are great, and the corners are suspect at best. But we'll see how that goes because safety help over the top to cover JP and Chris Williams.
Listen, I can't let you disrespect my man Settle and Jarrett like that, though. That's not cool.
We won't talk about our conversation behind
Hey,
doors.
you know what? The thing is though, like, what happens when Reed gets out there? All right, that guy tries to stick his nose out in man coverage way too much.
Listen, I'll have you know, Reed and Fowler are both tied with 20 tackles for loss on the season, and that's first.
Yeah, but that ain't helping in the passing game.
We don't need to. I got Stubbs, okay?
Hey, ask Reed how well that helped that one game with that. What was that? The big touchdown in the fourth.
Listen. Just cause what's his name? Man, just cause Coach put Reed at corner for one play, and it happened to be first and 10 in the fourth quarter with 10 seconds left doesn't mean anything, okay?
So who I'll go with in this is, I voted for Auburn to go in to the playoffs. But the reason why I'm okay with the final decision to throw Clemson in there because I don't feel like Auburn is really that great of a team as the record says. I do feel like Baylor will be able to shut down, for the most part, their entire offense. And we already know, honestly, Baylor's been very successful against scrambling quarterbacks. So I really feel that, if a Javon Warren decides to scramble, I feel like there could be turnovers involved in that. I feel like Collins won't be able to run the ball that well either. And then in terms of the receivers, they've kind of been a little bit inconsistent as well. I haven't really seen them have too many big games as of late. Against the secondary, which I feel gets overshadowed a bit of Baylor's, I don't think they'll be able to get open. And we saw that even in the Oklahoma game that just passed in the Big 12 Conference Championship. So I feel like they are not as great as receivers as compared to Oklahoma's. I think Baylor would do a good job of containing them, which means the entire offense is pretty much shot, in my opinion. I don't think they'll be able to score many points. Their defense is really good, but I feel like Baylor's got enough firepower to be able to move the ball down the field on Auburn's defense to score more points. So I'm actually going to go with Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. All right, now we go to these playoff games. The first playoff game, man, it's going to be on the 19th of December. And I don't know if guys paid attention to the dates, but pretty much this week will be the bowl games up to that Baylor and Auburn game. And the following weekend will be the playoff games, and they'll be a day apart. So the first playoff game, Clemson and Georgia. Who you guys got?
So I didn't put Clemson in there for no reason. I might be the only one, but I'm going to go Clemson. Because Fecky, in terms of all-purpose yardage, leads the nation. He had over 3,000 passing and over 1,000 rushing. So and we already talked about Jermaine Taylor isn't the best at stopping the run, and Alfred Walker is the only really good linebacker in that core. If Clemson can get that run game going, I'm going with Clemson.
Wow. Okay, what you going with, Bill?
I'm going with Georgia.
And that's it, huh?
Yeah, that's all I need to say.
All right,
I can't just say Clemson and not have a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yep, I get it.
He had his reason.
I don't have to have a reason. It's Georgia.
All right, Mitch, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Clemson, and me and Forbes have talked about this a couple times that we just think it'd be so anticlimactic for Georgia to go 13-0 and then lose in the semis and not even get to the Natty. But after seeing what Joanne Lentner did to Lito, I can only look forward to seeing what he'll do to Zamar Scruggs. And as Forbes alluded to with him saying Jermaine struggles to stop the run, I think that actually this is a rematch from week 1, I just realized.
Mm-hmm.
So Marlon Marshall actually had one of his best games on the season against Georgia when we were trying to figure out who was running back week 1 in that game. So with the running game and Joanne Lentner's route running ability, let alone the other two wide receivers in Rochester and Julian Barnes, it might just not be enough for Georgia to contain, as Georgia has struggled. I realized they were leading against Bama, but they inevitably only won by 5. And Georgia, they haven't been playing like the dominant team against great teams as of recent. They're always getting the dubs. They're playing great football, but they're just not playing elite caliber defense and offense at times. So this might be the time that they fall.
All right, well, I'm going to go with Georgia, and the main reason I'm going to go with that is because, for one, that first matchup, they beat them, and I guess you could use this as an argument against Georgia, but for Georgia, that game was played on arcade, and it was a very close game. And we saw, since it's been on Sim, Georgia's played in a little bit more closer games. But also on Sim, Clemson has played terrible towards the end of the season. They had that big win against Miami. Yes, I get that. And yes, Joey and Lentner went off against, Lito Loso, but honestly, the way I feel like the secondary for Georgia, I honestly feel like Georgia, even though the statistics may not all the way prove this, I still believe that they have the best overall talent at defense in general. And I feel like they're going to be able to force a lot of mistakes out of Brandon Fecky. He's an inconsistent quarterback. So I feel that that's already going to be a problem for Clemson. And you guys talked about the run game, and even though he has been very productive with the touches he's been getting, I feel that Georgia's defense will be able to contain him a lot better next time they play, especially on sim. And I just look at Clemson's defense against Georgia's receivers. Man, these receivers that they got are ridiculous. Brock Melton, I feel like he's going to have himself a game just as much as you guys, are saying that, and Lettner's going to have a day. I mean, if you think about the other receivers, in that game that they had against Miami, it was really, mainly in my opinion, I felt like it was all in Lettner making plays. If they shut him down, I mean, I don't think they even have a chance in this game. I don't think they have a chance even if he goes off. I think it'll be closer if he goes off. But I don't see a receiver actually being a big determining factor on them winning this game at all. I think that Georgia's going to be able to score. I think that their defense is going to be able to force turnovers. And they're the top team in the nation, haven't lost for a reason. So I think they're going to continue that and go on to the national championship. And the last game, the Fiesta Bowl, rematch. Is this a week 1 rematch as well? I believe it is. USC versus Alabama, man. Number 3 versus number 2. Who you guys got?
I got Alabama. USC has lost some pretty bad games, pretty bad ways the last couple of weeks, and Jacob McCall has been playing his heart out. So I can't bet against Alabama in this.
I think I'm gonna go Alabama here, as long as J-Mac, can stop with all the unnecessary disgust he has for a team that has nothing to do with him in the chat. Calm down, guy. Holy man, let it go. Frozen out here. Calm down. Man. Anyway, I'm gonna go Alabama. I've been rocking with Alabama almost all season. That I've had some ups and downs with USC, and sometimes how they play. I'm not always thought they've been the most consistent team, so I'm gonna go with Alabama.
Mitch?
I'll also be going with Alabama, as I think Jacob McCall will come out victorious over the Trojans like they did in week 1.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alabama as well. USC's been in a rough stretch of games, and even though they both lost their conference championship games, of course, Alabama had the tougher opponent and then had the closer and competitive game. And I just feel like they are going to turn out to be the better team. I believe when they first played against each other, it was on sim, and it was 20-9. So that already they played in simulation before, and they won. And I think they'll do it again and advance to the national championship for a 3rd rematch with Georgia. So that's honestly it. That's all we have right now for the podcast in terms of everything we had to recap. Since we had, of course, fewer games, talked about the bowl games. What we are going to do, as you guys saw from the pressed the wrong thing here, my bad. That's the intro getting played again. Turn that off. But as you guys saw from the thumbnail, we're going to, tonight after this podcast, we are going to be talking about, the award winners. And maybe by next week after the bowl games or right before the playoff bowl games happen, we'll have the award winners out there for you. And we're going to put it down in a list of 5. So we'll have, of course, player of the year for us. The Heisman is going to be called the Mackey Award, the Hunter Mackey Award, because he was the first MVP of the RFL. And that's pretty much how we came up with the names of our awards for those. For when we come out with that list, we're going to drop it in I guess, increments of 5, where we'll have, the 5 best players that could have won that award in order. And we're going to come up with that, tonight. So it might last longer than tonight, but you guys should have it by next week. I think we should aim for next podcast to be able to announce who those award winners are. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's all we got. It's a much shorter podcast, only an hour and 10 minutes has been so far. So what we haven't been able to do for a long time, since our podcast usually runs for 2 hours.
Yeah.
We're now leaving it open to you guys to ask questions. You can ask anything RFL related, man. We're here to answer them for you. If you got anything for our stats guys, go ahead, ask away. And if you guys who are, of course, here on the podcast with me, see any questions, that's interesting to answer, just let me know. So
And
gotta-
Smitty, the national championship game is a week after the semifinals, right?
yeah, the national championship game will be played on the 27th.
All right, so we got the first question here is Colin, and I apologize if I'm saying this wrong, Osterley?
Osterley?
I don't know. I think it's Osterley. Anyway, he wants to know what y'all think the best Reload Bowl was. He thinks it's Reload Bowl 4.
A lot of people are saying Reload Bowl 4. I'd say Reload Bowl 4 because of the comeback by the Huskies. So
That was pretty epic.
yeah.
I'm gonna say 2 because the Diablos played in it.
And I'm also going to say 2 because that was my first ever RFL game I ever watched.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to agree with you on 4, though. I think that was a really good one.
Yeah. When it was 14-0, I thought it was a wrap.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how many sacks did they end up taking that game?
Hudson took 10 sacks in that game.
Yeah, 10 sacks.
Yeah, 10
They
sacks.
still did
Total
it.
of 17 sacks in that game, and he
That
still
was
won.
Crazy. Fowler wants to know, do we get to see the nominees list for the awards? Or are we just announcing the actual winner?
Well, that's what we were talking about, releasing the list of the guys who fell under the. What we'll do, we'll have a graphic for the winner, but we'll release the lists as well. So that's how that'll go.
Oh, Michael King, I know that there are more than just the Mackey Award. Smitty, do you know them all off the top of your head?
I have a list of them right here. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see the chat, but you guys can see it. So if you see anything afterwards, just let me know. So the awards are, of course, like I said, the Hunter Mackey Award, which is for the Heisman, the Crowell Award for Best Quarterback, the Worsley Award for Best Running Back, which is Trey Worsley, the Keith Guyton Award for Best Receiver.
So weak.
The Sean McClure Award for Best Tight End, the Henry Nilsson Award for Best Lineman, the Antonio Griggs Award for Best D Lineman, the Charles Raymond Award for the Best Linebacker, the Matt Hoover Award for Best Defensive Back. I don't know where we came up with Brunel, but apparently when we had our meeting, we came up with this. But our kickers, we really did the kickers dirty throughout the history of the RFL. I think this is only the second or third year. Yeah, this is the second or third year that our kickers have actually, stayed on the team that we made them. So yeah, so Adrian Brunel for best kicker, and then we got the Joseph Gidley Award for the Offensive Player of the Year and for Defensive Player of the Year. Only the OG is going to remember this guy, but to the Tyrone Brennan Award for best for Defensive Player of the Year. So
I think the tight end award should have been called the Shropshire Rainy Shropshire. That was my opinion. But
well, I came up
Shropshire-
with McClure because McClure, Red Dragons tight end, won 2 chips, and he's been beasting since season 1. I was actually going to call it the Wheatley Award because he came out he couldn't end your season as great as he did with the Huskies when they won their championship. Couldn't end your career, but I thought McClure was definitely more so deserving of that because he was been consistent throughout his whole career and he's got 2 chips.
I don't know. I just thought Shropshire sounded like an interesting type of award name. The Shropshire.
I guess we already know this too. I mean, it's not a secret. I don't think this is a spoiler. We already know who's getting the Adrian Brunel Award.
The Brunel.
Yeah, Brunel. It's definitely going to be Michael Flota. So I'm going to give you a shout out right now, Michael Flota. Obviously, the best kicker in this. And the other, you only had 2 other players that could have even competed, and they missed kicks. So
I don't even know the other kickers.
Yeah, we don't even know those guys.
Florida's the only one we know. So
in the one, we had Amy Schlizzy in there. She missed a couple. So yeah,
Michael Flota, Amy Schlizzy, Cody Hill on Oklahoma State, and Justin Lawrence kicker for the Florida State Seminole.
I forgot we can just have Mitchie what the kickers were.
Definitely blowout by Michael Flota. So congrats
the
to
chats are calling for it to be changed to the Flota Award.
The Flota Award.
I'm not opposed to it, man.
You know what? To be honest, I can do that, man, because I think.
Oh, Nick, we did it.
Well, yeah. So.
You see how easy going this is, man?
Yeah, we're gonna call it the. He's gonna win the Brunel Award, and then afterwards we call it the Flota. So we'll do that.
What the heck is this? So we're all in here chanting out Flota's name, and here comes his quarterback liking to point out that he missed a few.
Yeah, he's missed some, but I mean the kicks that he's made
Corey Polley,
way
how many passes have
outweighs.
you?
Oh my God!
Polley, you missed more
you don't
passes
wanna
than he's
talk
missed
about
kicks,
misses,
okay?
bud.
Oh,
That is
ho,
so
ho,
Talk
ho.
about
Is it a bell? It sounds like a bell's coming here from
It sounds
from
like a
Forbes.
bell, man.
What you got to
mean,
say?
I said he's missed more touchdown passes to Hodges than Florida's missed kicks.
Oh.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
all good fun.
Yeah,
Good
that
fun,
one.
Polly.
Yeah, that one
Well.
going coming for you, Polly. But yeah.
That is,
We can't
this
talk
is
about
funny,
misses,
man. Everybody's like, "Congrats to Florida, rename the award." And he's like, "Ah, well, he missed some kicks, so."
Here's an interesting fact for you guys. Corey Polley has yet to pass for 2,000 yards yet in the season.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Louise,
wow.
man. You're just trying
Just
to hurt
throwing more
somebody's
bells
feelings.
at
Why'd
him,
you
huh?
have to bring that up, man? I just made a joke. You just out here
Yeah.
just killing him.
Yeah, like where we were like trying to have fun, and Mitch is like, listen to me.
You know
Stop
what,
it.
Polly? To cut all this out, even though it's still going to continue, try to win this bowl game. Beat the daggone Longhorns, and then maybe we can show you a little bit more respect on here.
I even picked Polley too.
We need you to throw Darius Hodge a touchdown, and you're automatically forgiven. So
Maybe.
maybe.
Tyler, why are you pinging me? Like, I can't change the award names. Jeez.
Yeah, the award names are not going to get changed. The only reason I'm even changing Florida is because honestly, we haven't had a consistent kicker in the league. And Adrian Brunel, he's been a good kicker and everything, but I don't even know if he's been top of the league but one season this past year or something, right? Yes, I don't even think he won it this past year. I thought it was Joe Quinn Gonzalez or something that won it. So, yeah.
Did you say
so-
Joe Quinn Gonzalez?
Yes.
Why you got an Asian first name and then
Yeah, I don't know. That's a
So
little
answer kicker. Thoughts on
Yeah, yeah, he says, okay, man, you went there. That's cool. Oh, good.
I wasn't named like that.
You're only 10 yards away, Paulie. It's one first down away.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I
you
feel
gotta get that.
bad for Polly. All I wanted
Yeah.
to do was make a funny, and then Mitchie had to go and just be mean.
Went from
I don't.
Mitchie went for the
Don't go
jugular.
back.
comedy
Yeah.
show to a funeral.
Yeah, we're all looking for a knee slapper, and Mitchie's over here stabbing dudes.
All right,
In
so
his monotone voice.
any other
Oh yeah, we got
questions
more
out
questions
here?
Oh yeah, we all know.
Yep. So, the next question was from David is Kiata.
Mm-hmm.
Kiata. See, I know this stuff. I'm a professional. When will teams start announcing starters? Now, I'm assuming you're referring to the RFL, and that's probably not going to happen until towards the end of the preseason, because
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, at least for me, I can speak for myself and probably for the guys here. I want to see what I got on my team before I officially announce, if there's going to be new starters or not. But yeah, probably end of preseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's probably gonna be like the end of preseason, just so I can know every starter at every position before I just put them out randomly.
Do you think I should talk about the idea of what we're going? I didn't break this down to Forbes too.
I was wondering if that was going
You
to be a
think
topic.
we should talk about that on here?
Talked
of
about
it
the
being
other day?
a possibility? Yeah.
I think we should really talk with Rob and stuff first before we.
Yeah, we're not going to
before we
announce
so-
it, but I'm saying to say that it's up for debate. But of course, since
Yeah.
they'll know it, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be
It does lead
solid.
into Christian Williams' question.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why.
it does.
That's why I thought about it. So, this is what we got in store. So, I know the biggest, gripe with being, trying to get into the league in the RFL is, you submit a player, you wait a long time, you play your college season, and you almost pretty much have to wait an entire year to play again. So, the only way we thought about possibly flipping it where we can have it to where the draft comes after you guys have played your college season, which cuts your entire wait time in half, is by actually having it where we have 2 back-to-back college series. That's the thing I didn't tell Forbes. So instead of high school, I don't think we should do high school because high school is going to entire season or half the year of high school. I think it's going to lose interest. It's not going to catch a lot of guys' eyes. I think we should have it where it's both 2 college seasons. That way, it's easier also on me where I don't have to do extra work in terms of the transfer from high school to college. And then also, more people are going to want to watch college. And we'll get our first look at 2 full seasons in college. I think after the first year, guys can decide to transfer and move after their first year and stuff like that. So there's a whole lot.
Would it still be like the same college
yeah.
prospects, or will we allow more into the series for that second one?
We will allow. I think we can try to allow more into the series for the second one too. So honestly, that's I think is a way better idea than high school. So, I that's what we're planning on doing. So we are planning on having 2 back-to-back seasons. So this class's draft will still be on June. All right. So July.
You want me to break it down like I did yesterday for you?
Yeah. So you could go ahead and do that.
All right. So the idea basically is that we still have the RFL season where it is now, opposite of the NFL, right? So we don't compete. We still have this year. We still have the draft in June or July, whenever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our next college series instead of high school, right? We're going to college series the same time this one is. And then we go to RFL season 7, and that's where people like Jermaine Taylor, Jacob Reed, Jacob McCall are rookies. And instead of going to the draft, we're going to have the second college season a week after RFL season 7.
Yeah, or at least somewhere close.
Yeah, somewhere close. And then we'll now have that draft of those 2 college series in November. So when RFL season 8 starts, the college players from the last 2 are drafted in November and then play in January.
Yeah. So you won't have to wait a long 6 months anymore. Now, this is still up for debate. Like Bill said, I have to talk with Mix just because I'm not all the way. I mean, I know it's ultimately my decision, but I like talking with my guys to figure out, what's going to work best for us. At the end of the day, I'm going to be pretty much the sole one to have to get this done. So, I mean, it's not going to put any extra work on anybody else. Possibly if they have to fill in for me, maybe that they may have to do that, but it shouldn't have to be too much. But since it's not high school involved, I do feel I do have the capability of doing that because it will be much more easier for me, and I won't have to worry about going to each player individually and transferring those things out and all that. So, with that being said, so that's what we're planning on doing. So pretty much, I think at that point, it already cuts down people having to wait to play again from a whole year.
So essentially, what would happen is you would apply around in January. We would probably cut off the registration in like April, maybe May. So for like 3-4 months, we'll have the applications open. And then you'll play right away in that June or July, or actually I would say end of July, you'll start playing right away. And then in November of that year, you'll already be getting drafted into the RFL. So now we go from really you're waiting almost a year and a half to get to the RFL itself. So we'll be cutting that down to underneath a year, technically 11 months from start to finish. And then we got 1 more month before you hit the field. So it was a really good idea brought up to us just because, one of the things that we've always had was it's a long time to wait. We get it, but we have to do things a certain way around here just because we want it to be as realistic and as immersive as we can get it. And we also want to make sure we have a great product for everything that we do, whether it's the college series or the pro series. So the reason for like all the makeshift running around with 2 guys in one or 2 submitted series in 2 series of the same guys of submitted players is because we have to find a way to gradually change the tide of how we do things without messing up everything else. So, but like Smitty said, there's a lot of stuff that we still got to make sure that we can do logistically with the streaming and building the players and stuff on time. So, I mean, not saying it's a definitive thing. We still got to talk about it, but just so you guys know, like there's a lot of stuff we still got to work out with first. We just hope that it works out this way because I think it would be a better situation for us long haul.
Yeah, so, and I saw Coach Carter saying, so this class is still going to get drafted regular time. It's just that the next class is going to be playing 2 seasons.
Yeah, so this class will still be rookies in season 7. The people we have right now in this college series are rookies for season 7. So the college series players in season 3 and season 4, imagine that you're going like from freshman year to sophomore year in college. And then those people in season 3 and season 4 of the college series will be rookies for season 8 of the RFL.
Yeah, and this is why we have to push it because honestly, this is a special opportunity for guys who, and this will be the only time that I do this. This will be the only time you can play more than 1 season in college for the RFL, since we have to do it that way to flip things the way we want, if we are able to do it. So if I were you, and I seen guys asking about if they submitted a high school player, if you submitted a high school player, as we said before, you're already set to go for the college series. We're going to reach back out to you, let you know what we need from you. to turn your player into a college series player, and then you have first dibs on where you go compared to the guys who are going to apply on the first. So yeah, so that's pretty much how it's going to work. So if you really want to get in, you can apply afterwards. But if you're in this first class of the first season of this upcoming college series, you'll be able to play 2 full seasons with a team, which I think will be like a great college experience and a once in a lifetime experience when dealing with the RFL, until like maybe if something down the line happens where we get an actual NCAA game. But I don't know if we'll be able to run more than 1 season anyway on a year. But I think NCAA would make it more easier to run 4 years and stuff and keep up with that. But I don't know. That's something further down the line. So that's not guaranteed. But what is guaranteed, if this does happen, you will be able to play 2 years in college, and you won't have to wait. You won't have to wait a whole year to play. It'll cut your time in half.
Just to piggyback off of what you said about the current guys who have already applied for high school, I'm the one who does the entire list. So I have just not had enough time to really sit down and go through all of the applications, trying to get everything ready for the RFL season. But that time is going to be coming up here soon in the next couple of weeks, just because by the 1st of January, I plan on having every high school application that's in here already put on the Excel sheet and an email sent to them. So that way, once the new applications start rolling in, I already have the stuff figured out for the high school applications that happened already. So I'd say the next 2 to 3 weeks is where you guys should be able to get an email from me. It'll come from the RFL email, but look out for that. It's going to be attached to the email that you submitted with your application. So I know some guys, for some reason, signed up with 2 or 3 different emails. Check them all, because if you don't get in there, it's not our fault you got crappy stats, man, because once these things start flowing in, we cannot keep going back and forth with guys for months on end trying to figure out stats.
And I think it was Fry. I don't know if Anthony Fry's still in here. I know he's got a prospect in here, but I think he reached out to me and said, could he change his position? And at first I said no. If you did submit a player in high school, you can change your position. But you, of course, got to pretty much send those screenshots of what you're changing. Just do the whole application again and send a screenshot to Bill so that we know and have that player on file. So if you're going to change your player, but once you do that, you cannot change it again. Okay, so like you make the decision to change or you make the decision to stay. When you reply back to us and you say, oh, no, I want it to be this instead, but you sent us that, we're not going to allow you to do that because we don't have the time to be working, trying to change things at last minute. So you have to, if you want to change your position, make sure you do it in the response by actually filling out all the information again and not sending it, because you'll have to pay another extra $5 if that's the case. But just take a picture of your filled out application on all the whole application and then send that as a reply with, okay, this is my guy for the college, how I want him to be.
And just to add this again, because I know I've said this for 2 years now, do not pick a quarterback. Stop it, please. I understand everybody wants to be the cool guy that throws the ball to people, but we have no room right now. Like
Well, what I will say is this: like,
I'm just telling him, man. I'm just saying,
I get what you're
if
saying.
you want to, go ahead, but be prepared to ride the bench for a very long time.
And that's the point I was going to get at, because even for the guys in this class, there's a lot of optimistic guys, but you know me, I'm going to be a realist. I'm going to let you guys know. There's even the best player, if he lands in the best position, only if the few of the best players land in the best position, they'll get an opportunity to play within either the first year or the second. But everyone else, you're going to be waiting a long time before you start. And that's on you, because we've been said this, that, if you want to apply to be a quarterback, that's at your own risk. At least, you get to see a full season of your player playing in college, but don't come complaining to us that, oh, I'm not starting in this. We're not trying to hear that, because we told you, and that's just how this league works. If you don't like how that works, then, you're just going to have to deal with it. And if you want to leave, then, it is what it is. But we're not changing how we run things around here just to get people to play. We're trying to turn this into a real thing, which is what we've been working towards, and understand that this is a yearly basis. It's a yearly process. This is not like franchises you see on Madden where you're playing multiple seasons in a year. No, Every season is an entire year. So you have to wait that. If you're willing to wait that long playing that position, then apply. But if you know you're not going to be interested in doing that, then, don't apply for that, and if you do not complain to us about it, because we're not going to do anything to help you out. I mean, that's just how it is. We're not going to. Why would we put you over guys who are obviously better? And you can't. I'm not throwing in OP guys into the drafts anymore. Because simply for one, I've learned over time how I need to make these overalls a bit lower. And that's what's been, souping up our league from time to time, where, guys aren't having an opportunity to start because there's too many great guys that are, in the league. We still got good backup quarterbacks who you guys, even this class will not be able to beat out, so apply at your own risk. If you want to be a quarterback, if you want to see a guy play, a good 2 seasons in college, why not try it? But, after that, if your guy isn't like the absolute best, even if he is the absolute best, does not guarantee he's going to start at all. But, you just know when you get in the RFL, it's going to be some time you're going to have to wait.
Yeah. Definitely.
I also see some people.
I just saw somebody quick asking about player applications. Kendrick, I think it was. Kendrick May. Yes. You do pay for a application for the RFL College Series. It's a one-time $5 player submission. After that, you don't have to pay anything after that.
Yeah, and when he says after that, it doesn't mean that the next year you're free from here on out. No, it's every time you submit one player, it's $5, but you can only submit one per year. So, that's of course how we fund doing the things that we do. That's how we get our graphics. So you got to pay for that. It's the stuff that we do, the consistency. We got to make sure we're getting money funneling back into this. And with $5, I understand some people ain't got it. If you don't got it, then don't apply. Just enjoy and wait until you got it to be a player. So but dudes are literally some people get mad because you got the $5. We don't care if you're frustrated to not put in $5, then we don't want you here. So I mean, that's just how it is. But that's it's a $5 fee, and once you pay that, you're straight for the year. For the guys who apply and going to be in this 2-year process, you do not have to pay for 2 years. So the next season you don't have to pay again to play in the second year. When you paid that first $5 for that season, then you're in. So you want to get into the college series for this year if you want to have 2 full seasons of a guy playing in college. So yeah.
I remember last year when we first started doing the $5 application fee. I remember I got my first angry message on the website, and they're like, "I can't believe you're charging. This is crazy." Yeah, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, "Oh man, I hope this isn't the sign of things to come." And then we literally got 30 applications in a matter of 20 minutes after we opened the doors, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so you're just being rude."
And even if it was and that's what we did. We still bit the bullet the first year we did it because we knew we had to get the money to fund the league. So I didn't care. The first, you guys already saw the college series that just passed before this. We only had 20 guys. I didn't care. Yeah. If that's all who was going to be able to compete to actually put something up to actually help fund the league, and to really that are really interested to be a part of this, then those are the people I want. The people who don't want it, why would I want you in here if you don't want to contribute? So I mean that never bothered me. So and then like Bill said, the following year, look how many guys we got. We literally had over 230 prospects this year for people who paid to be a player, and that goes to show you, this product is worth the money. What we do is worth the money, man. So.
Few of them we had to refund because they were making 3 or 4 players. Yeah,
and that's another thing we want to look at. If you do create a player for this season, though, you cannot create another one for the following season.
And then I should also put this out here too, in case people catch up on this later on down the line, or maybe you're not watching right now, and you're about to venture into the world of the RFL, and you're like, man, I'm going to create a player or two. Just know, I am not as easy to fool as you may think I am. I can see when you use the same accounts for different players. Changing your username on the website does not work. I see all of it. So please, to save both of us a headache, do not decide to try to trick the system and make more than one player, because then you'll lose the $5 and the one player that you submitted first. So just don't do it.
And on top of that, now that we're having it where you must be an active member in order to keep your player in the process, I am planning on having some type of way where you get you have to get through a. I'm probably not going to say interview, but something where, like, you know, you have to check and say, like, okay, I am this player, I've been active, and I have to check you off to say that, okay, your player is good. It's no longer going to be guys just making dudes and rolling out of here. Like, that's not working. Like, we're tired of that. We have, even off those 230 plus prospects that we got for this year, like, literally, how many guys we got that are like active?
50 maybe, and that's being nice.
Yeah, it's 50 for like guys who are still like at least low key coming around. But in terms of active members, I'd say about a good 20.
Well, and also, did we already talk about how we plan on just not even letting those dudes move on to the RFL if they're not active or something?
No, I don't think we talked about that. I didn't think that was going to be. But oh yeah, that is an aspect. Yeah, so if you are not active before, and of course if you're not active during, then we simply will not allow you to go into the draft.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last week.
Yeah, you'll play in college. You'll play your little college season and everything. But if you weren't here, you're not going in the draft.
Yeah. And it's nothing. It's nothing personal. You know, it's just we got a lot of players coming in, and we got a lot of already people established, and we really want guys who are just going to stick around and be here, because honestly, it's a lot simpler of a process without doing any community players. And I don't want to make that sound like you guys are a burden, because we love having the community involved. But honestly, like the year we did 20 applications, what were we done making the roster in like 30 minutes?
Yeah.
It was a real easy process. We just love having all the community members join in. So I just try to stay active, man. I mean, we're not telling you to live in the Discord, but if you get in, you know, it's worth it.
And that's the thing also, is like it grows the league, you know, when we have actual people who are fans. But I know people want to be in the thing, you know, be a part of it because they say, oh, this is a cool franchise. I've never seen this in Madden before. And like dudes want to join it, and then, you know, they're not all the way involved in it. They'll come to maybe some of their games, if that, and, you know, that's all they really want. But, you know, we're looking to build fans of this. Like, we want people to actually grow as this league is growing. Original fans of teams like, you know, Celtic Tigers, Cougars, Explorers, top teams like that, you know, or even the bottom ones, you know, and just even to get drafted and be like, okay, now I'm a fan of this team, and follow the team, even if you're not starting. We want fans of the RFL, not people who just want to be a part of it, you know, because at the end of the day, with this rule set that we got coming out, you're going to fall off. You're not going to, you know, if you don't show up, then it is what it is. Your player will still be in the league. So don't ask to have your player deleted if he goes in the RFL. He'll still be in the league, but he's probably not going to play. But, yeah, it is what it is. So, yeah, that's what we're looking for, man. Guys who are really into this, not just here just to see what their player does or for a few other things. Like, that's not what we're about here. We're trying to grow this thing. So it's either you're on board or, you know, you're going to be salty at the end of the day.
So probably about 20 minutes ago, Little asked if they'll be able to wear single numbers that are obviously not quarterback and wide receivers.
So college, you can wear any number.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm not changing that rule. That's what college does. Yeah, Bills of OCD with that.
Lyman wearing number 5.
Yeah, so
look. All right, let me just explain this. All right.
There you go, Leto.
Nah.
I don't like it. All right, I get it. I'm fine with it. I'll deal with it. I don't like it. All right. A defensive lineman should not be wearing number 8.
Man, what was that
college.
picture like a couple of years ago of that Baylor defense, like Sean Oakman or something?
And
wearing number 8.
And then not only this, speaking of 8, bro, you got a receiver wearing number 8.
Don't do that, because you know that I was so tempted to, regardless
but
of what
you know
he was doing
that
in this
you
league,
knew that if you changed that number, he would have looked goofy.
Just couldn't, because of the fact that he has made a legacy at number 8. I could not change that.
Exactly, but the 8 looks cool on CJ though, don't it?
It does, all right, but that doesn't make it right.
Yeah, it makes it right.
No, it doesn't.
It makes it right for him.
Smitty, you know what's messed up, man? You agreed with me on this, but now Now that we're all in the chat and everybody's seeing it, now all of a sudden I look like the lone
Well,
wolf.
hold on. Which part did I agree on?
You agreed that it was weird that these dudes be wearing weird numbers in college.
No, not in college.
We weren't on a podcast. This
No,
was,
it was
a private phone call.
I agreed with it in the RFL, definitely. College, only one I did disagree with though. I think it was like a lineman, a linebacker wearing number 60 something. And if I'm not mistaken, that's Joshua Moore or somebody.
Yeah, 63.
Yeah, 63 at linebacker. That was pretty bad, but you know, it is what it is.
A guard,
I think the only rule in college is that offensive linemen have to wear 50, 60, or 70. I think that's the only rule in college.
Okay, well, if that's the case, we'll keep with that.
I just think it's crazy.
And I think we should at least keep the linemen where they can't wear no 60. I mean, not the linebackers. They can't wear no 60 numbers because I don't even think anybody's ever worn that in college. Like, that's a no-go.
I mean, someone's probably worn it somewhere, just not relevant.
60?
Yeah,
60's
60.
number?
No, that's not allowed.
I don't think I've ever heard of a linebacker wearing 60-something unless they were, like, not playing.
He was like the 11th linebacker on the team, and
didn't
there
have
was no
enough
other
jerseys.
number.
Yeah.
It's like, do we give him number 1 or number 60? I know he's like a redshirt freshman, never played before.
Yeah, they definitely
Give
going
him
to toss
60.
him that 60.
We don't want to waste the number 1 on him. Give him a 60.
Yeah, so we have any more questions? Got 3 more minutes we can stay on here, and then we'll get off into our
Najee, you are testing my OCD right there. A quarterback with number 99. Oh, my
Terrible.
gosh. Oh,
They
man.
did that. I think they do that in college, though,
off.
for like a
I turn it
special
off.
tradition.
Doug Flutie, number 22.
Oh, boy, here we go. Ramos. Ramos got a bet. What does the Natural have for a bet for me?
What you got, Ramos?
You know, I also saw a very distinctive lack of stats questions when you have both stat guys here.
Yeah. Where's all the stats for us? Like,
I mean, it doesn't mean I'm gonna give them to you, but I just thought more people would be interested.
Straughter, the RFL does not have the schedule technically finalized yet for viewership, but it will be coming after we get past the
National
final
Championship.
stages of the college series, because we don't want to take away from the college series, because we know a lot of people are looking forward to the RFL season.
Yeah, so just a heads up for the guys. I guess I'll just make this announcement here and not post about it, but you guys will know and be hip to it. Is after the national championship, we'll be posting the fire new second trailer for the upcoming RFL season to get the hype, of course, going the following day, and then after that, maybe that same day or the day after, we'll post the preseason schedule. So that's how we're looking to roll with that. Big shout out to Coach for the $50. He says here's $50.
Okay,
so
take that $50 back.
so college players can wear single numbers. No,
I'm
for real
just
though,
kidding, man.
you're good though, man. Other than the linemen and the linebackers wearing 60s, that's the only rules. You can wear whatever you want in any other position in the RFL college
I think
series.
Bill might have disallowed that because I had talked a little bit, but he had to wear 20. So Bill,
Dude,
you know-
everybody's to that.
Hey, do you know if the mod allows double zeros? Because the NCAA allowed that rule I think the last season, that players can start wearing double zero.
Double zero? Well, you know what?
Yeah,
that probably
it's like a brand new rule.
goofy.
You know what, man? I'm gonna stop this right in its tracks right now.
You,
Hold on a
I'm
second.
serious. You
No,
can look it up because
I'm
I had to
sorry.
have. I
I'm
had to
sorry.
have a
I'm not
whole
even
meeting.
talking. I'm not even referring to what you said. I just got an alert in the Discord. Jakari does this a lot. All right, so I'm gonna need a bell for Jakari.
All right.
For Jakari Torres.
What you gonna say? That way,
Man,
after you say it, I'll hit the bell.
You have got to stop hiding from the podcast and then adding us in the Discord afterwards, man. Come in the chat and say it with your chest.
Yeah, because now I gotta go find what it is. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Straight at his
you all
soul.
gave up on USC too fast, shaking my head.
Yes.
You
Stop
better
doing
not
that.
lose. Now see,
Yeah.
now it's out there. Now you gotta win.
See, you did this.
Now
did
you
this
gotta
to
win.
yourself.
Now you gotta beat Bama. Now you gotta beat Bama, Kari.
Cole rolling in here trying to talk crap about our picks.
So he's in here lurking, not messaging, but he's watching. And
But no one had anything to say when I picked Clemson.
Yeah.
so you better beat Alabama, or you already know what's coming. It's time to go Ghost again, man. Time to go Casper.
And
Listen,
Ramos, he's cutting his hair if he loses to Oklahoma.
Ramos, the whole reason you have the nickname is your hair. If you cut it, I'm just gonna call you Baldy.
And why are you guys will just shave it now then?
We're just gonna call you James if you cut that off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're gonna be Mr. James.
You don't even get the Ramos attached to it. You just James.
Hey, Ryan, yes. Once you get into the RFL, I mean, that's something you'll have to work out with your coach at the time, as long as it's not like a massive change or something. I'm assuming that's okay, especially if you're representing your player. But again, like that's up to the coach and what kind of numbers are available on the team that you are drafted to.
I see David Chiata talking about, Smitty, do you think if coaches who can't make the cut for the RFL can coach college instead? No, we cannot do college coaching because, for one, you would have to own a PC, own the mod, and there needs to be an entire staff for this in order for it to happen. On top of that, you would have to know how to mod, customize books, and all that. You would actually probably be doing more work than our current coaches have to do, since you would have to, be able to send that in. And that's also a lot for us to have to keep up with. So I do not think that that's something that is possible until the RFL moves to PC.
Hey,
so.
Mr. Natural joining the
James.
RFL fan club. There it is.
Guy. Man, I need to get some applause animations.
I can't be doing it myself. My clapping is weak as my howling over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think
Y'all didn't have to agree
I
with
think the
that.
howl was still weaker.
You didn't have to agree with that. You could have just like let it be.
so
You brought it upon yourself.
And there's Jakari again. What does he say? Ghost. Yeah, because that's exactly what you do every time something happens. You go ghost in the Discord. Just like after that Wisconsin win, huh?
Wisconsin.
To his
Wisconsin.
soul.
You got some of that Wisconsin badges at you.
Okay, so Sully's asked 2 questions. One of them was any updates on the new team logos, and the other half of it was when will Sector 6 have team merchandise? So those 2 questions go together.
All right, so Sector 6, we're not doing any business with them anymore because there were guys who bought some merchandise early on when he started it off, and we did not get any kickback for that. We messaged them and everything, and pretty much just low-key robbed us. Now, I don't know what happened. Maybe something wrong happened on their end. I'm not, going to say that they're all the way a crappy business because the people still got their stuff, but at the end of the day, we didn't get our money. I don't know what happened there, but we're definitely not doing business with them. We're planning on opening up our own shop elsewhere with more stuff anyway, so that's definitely on the way soon. In terms of the logos and stuff, we pretty much have every single team logo rebranded, and we would have been able to have you guys see all of that. It would have been a whole new remastered RFL this season had the RFL or had the Madden PC mod tools have been available for us to work on it in time. But we have everything done. The new uniforms and everything are fire, but you will not be able to see that, unfortunately, until they got that stuff up for us to use. So
now Torres is getting the heat in the Discord.
Oh yeah, you knew he was gonna get that. You know he's gonna get that.
Oh, I think he likes it or something.
He probably does, but he better win. He better win against Bama.
Yeah, he better. Yeah, man. The stuff with the apparel, man. This is the thing. Like, there's a lot of guys who ask for the apparel, and I'm gonna be brutally honest here. Not a lot of y'all are even interested in getting it. Like, it's just we had it out there, and like nobody just ever buys it. So like,
well, I think another reason, I wouldn't quite say that. I feel like the main reason is because we didn't push it, for one, because we didn't have anything really out there.
Yeah, and I was also about to lay down another reason why is like we are sort of handicapped with what we can do with our merchandise because we don't know how real far this fair use act really goes with Madden because this is all their stuff. This is their teams.
Yeah.
So it's a really tough process for us. And like Smitty said, we're probably going to be taking a look at other options for stores and hopefully coming up with something better in the future. But we have it on the list of things we're going to get done. We just don't know when and how exactly it'll get done. Yeah,
and even to elaborate more on that in terms of the, that's the only reason you don't have merch out now is because, we cannot, even though it may be a possibility, we don't know all the way 100%, I'm still going to say we cannot sell these relocation team logos as they are because I do feel like it's still under Madden. So it should be some way linked to where we can be sued for that. So we are not selling any merchandise with their logos of their teams. Once we are able to get our whole thing going on PC and we can rebrand the league to look how we want it, then you're going to get that, which I think is going to be way better anyway because the logos are going to be better. The uniforms are going to be way better. You guys are definitely going to want that merch compared to what we would have made with the team's logos that they have now. So It's going to be way better down the line, but unfortunately, we just got to wait for it. But it's going to be a lot coming for the RFL, and I know you guys are really going to want that merchandise. And, of course, like Bill's saying, they allow us to sell more products. You know, they had, like, they didn't really have too much, like a jacket, a shirt, and it was like 8 items total. But we're looking at other places to be able to sell more, even down to, like, hats, cups, even phone cases.
Well, the other thing too is there was no possibility for us to have any kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? Creation or creativity.
Yeah.
We just gave them a thing, and they're like, okay, here you go. After like a week and a half of waiting.
It was way longer than that.
Yeah, it's like they made us wait for how long just to see what they were gonna make up for our thing, and literally all they did was just plaster the logo on something and color the sleeves, and it was done. But that we can't make our own stuff. And what I really want to do is I would like to have like individual player like shirt jerseys, you know, or maybe the front is just like the logo and the team name, and the back is the number with the last name over the top, so it's not an actual jersey, but you know, you get the feel of it. Maybe a conference champion or a division champion shirt.
And even our catchphrases, you know, like dead man, whatever man from Bill. We're trying to make a segment out of that. Like
we want to be able to do these things, and we just can't do that because they want like $400 for every individual different logo we put on a pair of their sweatpants or their sweatshirts or their shirts or whatever, and that's just ridiculous. So, well, we'll get there, guys. We'll get there.
Yeah. Like I remember you and Rob running around like trying to find shirts and screen presses like a year ago. I remember that. I was like, that was a long time ago and a long process.
Shout out my man. Was it Curion? My bad if I said your name wrong. I'm gonna just call you Foster, man. Said he wants that Crowell jersey. My boy.
Stop it.
The GOAT.
Stop it.
That's gonna be attached to that jersey too.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I'm gonna delete it right out of there.
The GOAT's gonna be right on the back.
I'm deleting it.
Hey, I mean, you got
what happens, Forbes? You cut off.
me on that project though, so we'll see if you really GOAT or not.
Oh yeah,
we'll find out if he's really good after you have me do that project.
I guarantee he's gonna have the most passing yards and everything else.
Now that would be legit. Lito said we should mail players hats when they get drafted.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
That would be dope.
Man. That would be really
we can't do that with this logo stuff.
Yeah,
know, but when we get ours, we can definitely do that. But see, that's why people that's why we have people have to pay to join and other things. We have to find ways to make money to get this stuff to you guys, to make more money to be able to do that. So, you know, that the guy's asking, why isn't everything free? Of course it's not free. We're out here working.
Nothing is free.
Yeah, ain't nothing free just because we're on YouTube. We may not be the biggest channel or anything right now, but, you know, we're definitely going to get there. I mean, we've grown pretty well and pretty rapidly and pretty much on pace on what we expected going into the RFL season. We expected to hit 7K. We got to, you know, close to it, 6.5K. But we'll definitely break that when the season comes up.
We should have had 7K already.
Yeah, but did you guys not see the thing I put in community like last week? December 4th, 2018, we broke 2,000.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we did come a long way the last 2 years, that's for sure.
Yeah, over 4,500 in those 2 years. Yeah.
Man, you look at all the brown nosing going on in this chat right now. Holy smokes.
What, the Peter Pan Yettas?
People are actually saying the Yettas are cool. Like,
what do you mean? They know what it is.
Bro, you know.
It sounds like they're trying to kiss up to me. Man. That's
Exactly.
all I'm saying.
If I was the one,
sounds like they know what the deal is.
If I was the one trying to sell these things, nobody would care. Okay, I said it.
No,
nobody
they care. They would just roast you.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they'd roast me for it. They'd give me a bell for it.
Did I literally
But
lose
Smith
these
is doing
pictures?
it, all of a sudden, oh man, these are fire. Oh, I gotta have some.
Because they fire. I'm not frauding. They know the Yettas is heat.
If you walked into a store and you saw two pairs of boots both for $100 and one was Timberlands, you're taking the Timbs.
The
Stop
Yettas is heat. I'm
Stop
taking
it.
the Yettas all day.
Stop it.
They know what it is. Yetta gang. Everybody put Yettas in the chat. Hashtag Yettas. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. There we go, Luke Poor.
No, you know what those are? Those are
Yettas
Timberlands
equals
right
fire. Flex on them. I wish I had the pictures. I actually deleted them off of this.
there. Yeah, you deleted it because you knew.
Nah. They're definitely coming back on. See, you brought this
they're
up.
Not. No, they're
Yettas.
not.
There we go. Yettas.
Oh, God.
That's what I'm talking about. RFL
This
squad.
is
Yutta's in the
This
chat.
is just blasphemy. This is blasphemy. That's what this is. This is preposterous.
I think you on to something, Foster. Butter Yuttas. I like that.
Yeah, because they butter.
This is some
I think
Oh.
Forbes is starting to follow along with us.
wrong B word.
Markel, of
I
course,
can't.
always go to hate.
I can't.
Markel always used to be one of my right-hand mans, man, agreeing with Crowell being the GOAT, and then all of a sudden, Crowell ain't the GOAT. Now he's going Butters instead of Yuttas. What's going on, Markel? Man,
Markel just
you
likes.
don't let
he
Noah
likes
get to you.
that.
Noah and Bill get to you.
No, he's not a fan of Bill. That's for sure. He loves coming at me. I think he just
I
likes
think
the
Markel
controversy.
just loves coming at everybody.
You haven't gave him the superstar dive yet.
Oh, that's what it is. It's the superstar for you, and for me, it's because I made fun of his acceleration like last year or something. I think, and for my gifs. He doesn't like my gifs.
Bro, I swear on everything, RFL community, if I can really put the Peter Pan Yuttas in the mod, it's
No,
getting
you
done.
wouldn't, dude. You're just making stuff up right now. This isn't even real life.
I'm telling you guys right
everything.
now, we could get, if I can just turn
Peter
the
Pan
shoes.
Yutta cleats.
Yeah. If I can turn
Yutta
the
cleat.
the shoes like the same color and everything, I'm definitely doing it for a game. Like, hands down.
Dude, just stop.
My
Just
boy
stop.
Foster say he's rocking them. What are you saying? We got customers out here.
Stop it. Stop it. Man,
sure you
dudes would be rolling their ankles like every other play in those things.
You talking about that? I mean, you can dunk in those.
Fatted, dude. What
Better
you
than
talking about?
Jordans.
What, on like a 3-foot hoop?
Man, I wish I could find the daggone Peter Pan
I'm,
Yuttas and
smart,
put
I'm
them in
sorry
the
with
chat
that,
right
kid,
now.
but coming down on those would hurt like hell on a wood
Yes, they
floor.
got no
Nah.
soul.
That's because you got to be a real baller in them. You can't
What
wear
kind
them
of
if you're
shoe
not a
doesn't have
baller.
soul?
The minute you buy the Peter Pan Yuttas, you become an instant baller. You're taking flight like Peter Pan in Neverland. You're up there dunking
Yeah, 'cause
better than
much
you would in
better, 'cause it's
Jordans.
soul.
Come on now.
Oh my gosh.
Next level.
This isn't even right. This isn't even be allowed. We should get demonetized for this conversation right now.
I think we're going to get demonetized because you're disagreeing with me.
No. They're gonna be like, wow, these guys are honestly talking about Yuttas. We gotta shut this down.
I think we're
Algorithm.
gonna get demonetized because Mitchie keeps trying to go for the juggler.
Yeah.
He keeps trying, but the squad already know what's up in the chat, man. Yuttas all day. But
Dude.
yeah, that's gonna be it, man. We're pretty much at the 2-hour mark, so we pretty much hit where we usually do. A great open question segment that we had, man. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see you guys on the next one. For the guys who like the Yuttas, you my guys. You don't like the Yuttas, man. Keep on hating.
You're
You ain't gonna
smart.
be here too
You're,
long.
You're smart.
But I'll see you guys. We'll see you guys. Peace.
Adios.
Peace.
I'm out.